All right. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another Mr. Islam Answers Back YouTube live show. All right, as we always do, we always give everybody a few moments to join the show. So let me go ahead and send out some tweets. I already posted on Facebook, so let me send out a couple of tweets real quick. Let everybody know we are live right now on the air and give everyone a chance to join in. All right, so let's go ahead and post that right now. Let everybody know we are live on the air right now, so join in, everybody. Got a good topic for you tonight, for a good show. All right, so anybody joining, we're just, as we always do, just sending out a couple of tweets, a couple of Facebook posts to let everybody know that we are on the air right now. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me do like I did last time, and let me post the actual link to the room, so that way we can hopefully up the numbers. And remember, everybody who's joining, please remember to like the video right now as we're on live, so that way it'll increase the algorithm, so more people will see it, on YouTube. While if they're on YouTube right now, it'll show up in the whatever shows that are live. So like the video, okay? Don't forget to like the video as we speak. All right, let's go ahead and post that now. Now, topic response to Stephen Crowder, moderate Islam, a post the link, the YouTube live link, so everybody can join us live as we speak. Hopefully that'll start to increase our numbers. All right, there we go. Let's see, you know what, let me post that on Facebook too, so that way we can get that live too. Let's see how many people got joining right now. Okay, people are coming in. Need some more people to join in though. Okay. All right, let's see. Just let me send one more. I want to put one more on Facebook. All right, everybody. Plus, the room's still not quite ready yet anyway, so we'll give them some time. Okay. I can just do it like this, straight to Facebook. Okay, let's do it straight to Facebook right now. Okay, cool. There we go. I like that. Yes. Yeah, there we go. And it gives us the link, right? It's going to give us the live link. Let's see. I'll put on the air now. on the air now. Join us. Okay, cool. All right, so, all right, still waiting for a few more people. Let's get a few more people in here, right? We still need some more people to join in. Still need a few more people to join in. Then we'll, what time is 5? I'm gonna give it till 8:10. It's 8:06 right now. We're gonna give it to 8:10. All right, we're gonna give it to 8:10 for everybody to join in. Give it to 8:10. Okay, so let the room build up a little bit. All right. Got some guests joining in to watch us. Good, very good. Glad you're joining us. Just give us a few moments. We want to give some more time to more people to join in. All right. So we're gonna give it to 8:10. It's 8:07 Eastern Standard Time right now. Just give it a few more minutes. Okay. A few more minutes, and then we will begin. Matter of fact, wow, let me go ahead and get some things in order. I got my books. Let me get my Quran real quick. Hold on. Okay, just had to get some books in order. All right, some books and stuff. So a few more moments. If you can, please send out on your own social media. You can you help us out, send out some tweets or some posts on Facebook, some Instagram, whatever other social media you have, and let everyone know. Let everyone know that the show is beginning. All right, let them know that the show is beginning and to join in right now. Got a good show for you tonight. Tonight, instead of addressing a political issue or some current event that goes on, tonight's going to be a refutation night. It seems like a lot of people like those. So tonight's a refutation night. We're gonna address a video by Steven Crowder, and we're gonna refute some of his claims tonight from a video. It's an old video. I haven't seen any recent video. Somebody had sent me a message saying that I should address some of his stuff. So I looked to see what he had. I didn't see any current, excuse me. I didn't see any recent. I didn't see any recent stuff. So I just, I found one. I don't know how long is that video ago? I don't know how long ago it was. A year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. I didn't see anything recent. So I picked this one out, the so-called myth of moderate Islam. And I decided that we would address that one. One more minute. It's 8:09. One more minute, and at 8:10 we're going to start. No matter how many people here, and others will just have to join in. All right. So I decided to address that video. So we're going to give it one more minute. One more minute. While we wait one more minute, let me just, as I always do, tonight's show, as always, is sponsored by my book, which you can get on Amazon.com, Amazon Kindle, in ebook form or paperback. It is entitled "He Never Was God: How Scripture Shows That Jesus Was Only a Man and Not God." It is also sponsored by our DVB, entitled "Taqiyya: The Lie They Made Against Islam," which is a thorough refutation of the claim of taqiyya, which haters and anti-Islamists claim is a supposed teaching that Muslims have that supposedly, allegedly allows Muslims to lie and deceive others in order to promote Islam, which is a lie, and that DVD provides a thorough refutation of that claim. Okay? You could also support our platform by donating to us through our website. The link is available in the description of this video below. You can also support us directly by going directly through PayPal with the new feature that they have called I believe it's called Pay Me, right? Something like that, Pay Me or PayPal Me. That's also available in the link in the description of the video. So you have those options through either directly through the website, directly through PayPal. You can purchase our book that will help us. You can buy our DVD that will help us. Also, you have the option to make a donation directly right here on YouTube through the what they call super chat option. In your chat where you're chatting at, where people type the chat, you see there's a square dollar sign. You can click on that, and that allows you to make a donation directly through YouTube. I always let everybody know, just keep in mind that when you do make a donation through the super chat, I'm not saying don't, but you can if that's your only option. However, keep in mind that through that option, it takes maybe a month or more to get to the YouTuber, depending on the threshold, which is they have a threshold. They only send out the donations after the amount reaches $100. So if the amount doesn't reach $100 until 6 months later, the YouTuber to whom you donated will not get it. Also, keep in mind that the full amount that you've given does not go to the YouTuber. A percentage is taken out. So if you want to make sure that the YouTuber, or in my case, myself, my platform gets it right away, please use the links in the description. That way it gets directly to me and the full amount gets to me as well. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead. We actually went 2 minutes over the waiting time, so let's go ahead and start. So as I said, tonight's video is a refutation video dealing with claims made by a Steven Crowder. Okay? The title of his video is Moderate Islam, a Myth. Okay, Moderate Islam, a Myth. All right. Now, when I looked at the video, he kind of reminds me. So I was wondering, should I even take him seriously? Because first of all, his video is kind of, he's like really disrespectful about his, the way he puts forward his claims. He's like a comedian. I guess he's a comedian. I don't know, like, because he doesn't always do videos on Islam. So I take it that he's some type of comedian. So but for whatever reason he wants to address Islam, and the way he presents it is in like a very offensive and mocking manner. He's not really trying to he's not like attempting to put forward, like in an academic way. You know what I'm saying? He's being disrespectful. He's mocking. He's being offensive. You know what I mean? But like I said, I like to deal with people. I like to address people like that anyway, because sometimes haters need to be put in their place. So I'm willing to take it on. But again, when you see the video, he's kind of like being silly and mocking, and you know what I mean. So I was like, well, should I even give this guy some time? But he seems to have a following. So he kind of reminds me of David Wood, because David Wood likes to do that also. David Wood likes to make videos against Islam. And he likes to mock and be disrespectful and blatantly disrespectful. So Steven Crowder is sort of like that, okay? But as I said, I don't have a problem dealing with haters like that and putting them in their place. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind addressing them and putting them in their place. So let's go ahead and get to it. So let's go ahead and look at the video. I'm gonna go to the video, and we'll, like we always do when we deal with such things, we'll take it step by step. Okay, so you guys ready? Let me check the comments real quick. Anybody saying anything? No, not yet, right? Nobody is. Okay, so everyone is, I guess, just watching. Cool, not a problem. All right. So let's go. You ready? Here we go. So here we go. The video is entitled Moderate Islam, a Myth. Let's go ahead and get into it. Here we go.
13 years after 9/11, and we must never forget. Except for those who already have. Step aside Al-Qaeda or Taliban. Evil's gotten a fresh coat of paint in ISIS. The only thing that's changed is the name. But would a terrorist organization by any other name still smell as sweet? Now, this administration has gone to great lengths to ensure that ISIS doesn't tarnish the good name of Islam.
Now, let's make two things clear. ISIL is not Islamic.
After all, it's just one very small, lone extremist group. It's not like Islam promotes murder, discrimination, or hatred anywhere else in the world, right? Except...
Well, I'm gonna let him make a point, because I'm gonna address that. But let's let him say what he wants to say. Let's let him get that out.
For literally everywhere else in the world.
Okay, so yeah, there we go with the, of course, the white Western man thinks that whatever happens to him is everywhere in the world, right? Whereas in reality, what he's claiming is false. Muslim conflicts or conflicts with Muslims or conflicts with these rogue terrorist groups or whatever the case may be, right? They're not happening everywhere in the world, right? They're not happening everywhere in the world. But of course, to the white Western man, he thinks that, when he's involved in something and whatever happens to him, basically the whole world is involved, when really it's just him, right? There are many places in the world that don't have any conflict with Islam, because why? Because they haven't done anything to Muslims. They're not invading Muslim lands. They're not occupying Muslim countries. They haven't been bombing and missile striking and putting sanctions against them or whatever the case for there to be a conflict. But this is typical arrogant Western man's thinking that, oh, because he hates Islam and because he has this problem with Islam or with Muslims because of things that he's done to Muslims, that somehow this means that it's everywhere in the world. Okay, when that's not really the case. So let's go further. Go ahead.
Regarding Iraq or Syria, because they're clearly the minority, let's look to the more moderate Islamic countries. I mean, it's not like virtually all Islamic countries are legally allowed to kill non-Muslim converts.
And, well, again, let him finish the point.
Granted, that could seem incriminating, but there are...
Okay, number one, again, they like to throw the term Islamic countries, when a lot of these countries are really Arab countries, and they are not really governed by, they may have some Islamic laws or whatever, but many of them are not governed, by Islam in full. Many of them have their own, their own cultural laws or laws that they have on their own that are not necessarily Islamic laws. And you'll see he's going to mention some things, and I'll address them and showing that they're not actually Islamic laws at all.
There are places like Pakistan that haven't officially sanctioned the death penalty, so there's that. Though honor...
But of course, again, hypocrisy. Stephen, America has a death penalty, right? America, many states in the United States have a death penalty. Again, the typical double standard, right? Of course, his argument would be, oh, but the death penalty is not for religious, but they have a death penalty regardless, right? Whether the death penalty is about violating religious laws or violating man-made laws, America still has states that have the death penalty, right? So I hate when they try to make this kind of argument that, oh, well, but in America, you won't get the death penalty for violating religious laws. But again, you still have death penalty for man-made laws. You still, you know what I mean? In other words, you're still killing people based upon violations of certain laws. So what, what I mean? Like, how are you trying to make this like, some kind of argument when you still have the death penalty regardless, whether it's about violating God's laws or violating man-made laws, right? So
killings are still common and legal. But how is the UAE even on that list? It's the most moderate Islamic country in existence. Leftists even vacation in Dubai.
Oh my gosh, I love Dubai.
Oh, I know. Turns out that even in Dubai, if you're Muslim and you try to convert, death penalty.
That was a crazy night.
Yeah, it was.
So I'm thinking about converting to Christian. How did you think this was going to end?
And what about women? Progressives and feminists alike.
All right, and let's address this thing here. This murdering or killing for conversion, and say he's all, the way he's putting it, like, oh, somebody just can just out of nowhere just kill you. This again is not how Islamic law. This is not how Islamic law operates. In fact, I think he might show it on here. I think he did show it, but on that form or that letter or that writing that he showed. It talks about some of the stipulations that go along with the supposed law, and how he's making it where like, oh, if somebody's talking about converting or whatever, that, oh, any Muslim could just, you know, slaughter you or whatever the case may be. Number one, this is not Quranic at all. The Quran doesn't talk about anyone. You know, there's no order in the Quran to kill anybody for converting. There are many verses that shows that a person such as, let me see what's hold on a second, let me get it. There are several verses in the Quran that actually address the issue of people leaving Islam or turning, being believers and turning away from the truth or whatever. And there's some verses that even shows that a person has done it several times, right? Has done it several times, and there's no command to kill them at all, such as I believe it's chapter 4, verse 137. I'll read it to you. Chapter 4, verse 137. Chapter 4, verse 137 of the Quran states, says, those who believe, then disbelieve, again believe, and again disbelieve, then increase in disbelief, Allah will never forgive them nor guide them in a right way. So as you see here, this is speaking directly to that issue of somebody who believed and then they disbelieved. If the command was to kill the person, as Mr. Crowder wants to put here, right, then how is it that the Quran is saying that the person believes, they were believing, then they disbelieved, and then they believed again? How can they believe again if the command is an immediate death sentence, right? And then notice it says again that they believed and then they disbelieved again. And then they increase in their disbelief. All it mentions is that what? That Allah will never forgive them nor guide them in the right way. No command to end their life is there. And there are other verses that mention the same. Let me see. I believe there's another one that is chapter 20, verse 124. Chapter 20, verse 124. Chapter 20, let's see. Chapter 20, verse 124 states that, yes, it says, and whoever turns away from my reminder, for him is surely a straitened life, and we shall raise him up on the blind on the day of resurrection. So here again, here is a person being referenced as somebody who has turned away from God's reminder, right? But what does it say for what is the fate of this person? Is it the death sentence for turning away from God's reminder? No, it says that for him is surely a straitened life, meaning they still have their life. Their life will be straightened, meaning that like their life will be difficult. God will make their life difficult, but notice they still have their life. And then further it goes on to say that in the hereafter they will be raised up blind on the day of resurrection. All right, so here's what we have here, and there are many other verses that, you know, I can go on and on to make my point. Okay, I can go on and on to drive this point further on, but we don't need to keep going on. But as you see, those are two verses right from the Quran that directly address somebody believing, disbelieving. Then they came back to belief again. Then they went back and disbelieved again. And nowhere does it say, now they kill them, death sentence, they must die, whatever. None of that is there. Okay, and as I said, I can give off other verses that address this issue directly, head on. Yet it still doesn't say that the penalty is to kill the person, Stephen. So, okay. So, and how does this tie into the claim that moderate Islam is a myth? Well, this shows that your claim is false, because the Quran itself shows that that is not the command. And when we look at the wider scope of Muslims around the world, see, he's relegating Islam, as you see in the video when he shows those countries, to the Middle East, right? He's relegating Islam pretty much to the Middle East. But Stephen, we are told that the Middle East represents anywhere from 10 to 15%. Anywhere from 10 to 15% of the Islamic world, which means, Stephen, that the majority of the Muslims are not located in the Middle East. And the majority of the Muslims are not out doing the things that you are trying to push, that you're putting forward in this video, which means that your claim that moderate Islam is a myth itself. That moderate Islam is a myth. That claim is a myth. The majority of the Muslims are not located in the Middle East, and the majority of the Muslims are not part of ISIS or supporting ISIS or Al Qaeda or whoever the hell else terrorist group that the Western media puts up. Okay, so the claim that moderate Islam is a myth itself. And that's demonstrated by the activity of the majority of the Muslims around the world, who are not out trying to harm other Muslims who may want to. Matter of fact, we have stories of Muslims who claim, ex-Muslims who claim that they were ex-Muslims, right? Now, Bill Qureshi was one famous one. He passed away of cancer. You have Walid Shubat. You have Kamal Salim. Annie Cyrus, all these people who are famous now, making money on book tours, college lecture tours, making money, yet nobody has killed them, right? Why? Because the majority of the Muslims around the world are what? The quote-unquote moderate Muslims that you claim don't exist is a myth. All right, let's continue.
Have declared Islam to truly be a religion of peace. Of course, none of them live under Islamic rule because those broads would be speaking out of turn. And where could they live? Can't do Egypt because of the 91% genital mutilation rate. Can't do Saudi Arabia where women...
All right, let's talk about that.
Can't drive, vote, travel abroad.
All right, and what you just mentioned there, so-called genital mutilation is not a tenet of Islam, right? Allah doesn't order the female to be genitally mutilated, right? So again, this is not something that is mandatory in Islam. In fact, you will find that the genital mutilation or female circumcision is not something that is exclusive to Muslims in the Middle East. You will find that there are people in parts of Africa that participate. In fact, even in Egypt and these places where Christians are involved in the female circumcision. It's not something that is, that is some type of exclusive thing to Islam or to Muslims, where you find people in Africa who don't believe, matter of fact, African animists who don't practice any of the major religions are, partake in this practice. You see, Mr. Crowder. So again, this is not something that is a command in Islam. Also, further, once again, the majority of the Muslims around the world don't do that. So once again, your claim that moderate Islam is a myth is again proven to be a myth itself, because once again, the overwhelming majority of Muslims around the world don't do that. They don't do female circumcision. There is no cases of female genital mutilation, sir. So once again, proving your case to be false. He mentioned, as this part, he mentions women in Saudi Arabia. They can't drive. Again, that's not a teaching of Islam. That's something that is unique to Saudi Arabia. They don't want their women to drive. However, Muslim women in Egypt drive. In Tunisia, they drive. In Algeria, they drive. In Malaysia and Indonesia, they drive. In Iran, they drive. You see? Not driving is something that is unique to Saudi Arabia, and that's not an Islamic teaching. That's something that they have from, made a law themselves from their culture. So once again, and not only that, but Muslim women around the world, majority of the places around the world, they drive. They drive in Turkey. They drive. Muslim women drive in America. Muslim women drive in Australia, right? And remember, keep in mind, I mentioned Muslim countries already. Like I said, they can drive in Egypt and Algeria, in Tunisia, in Turkey, in Iran, in Morocco. They can drive in Libya. They can drive in Indonesia, Malaysia, the places. In fact, these countries are not Arab countries, and they have the largest. They are said to have the largest Muslim populations, and the Muslim women can drive in these countries. So once again, Stephen, you failed to make your case. All these things you're bringing up, I'm showing that the majority of the Muslims don't participate in them, thereby proving that moderate Islam, so-called what you guys call moderate Islam, actually exist rather than being a myth as you claim. Okay, and let me stop here and say this too. The reason why, remember what I've said this on previous shows before. The reason why you have haters and bigots like this who want to make this claim that moderate Islam doesn't exist is, again, so they can justify their bigotry against Muslims. You see, they can justify their hatred of Muslims by saying, see, you can't trust any of these Muslims. There is no moderate Islam. There are no moderate Muslims. They all are this way, they all are that way. And that, therefore, bigots can remain bigots without feeling guilty. See? This is what they use to justify their bigotry. And of course, white bigots and white racists have always done this, right? So they don't have to feel guilty. They say, oh, they justify it. Justify your hatred against the Jews in Nazi Germany by claiming that they want to take over, they're this, they're that. And therefore, when you do what you do to them or did to them, oh, there's no need to feel guilty because after all, well, the Jews are this, the Jews are that. Right? So you don't have to feel guilty about putting them in concentration camps or ovens. In America, oh, the Japanese, the Japanese are killers. The Japanese, you can't trust them. They're all this. So when you put them in concentration camps, like as was done during World War II, the Japanese Americans put in internment camps, you don't have to feel guilty about it because you've justified your hatred and your bigotry against them. Right? Your mistreatment of black people in America. Again, same thing. Right? Oh, the Negroes are this and the Negroes are that and such and such. So when you mistreat them and abuse them, you don't have to feel guilty about it. Because after all, look, you justified your false beliefs by promoting false teachings. Same thing, Native America. Oh, the Native Americans are all heathens. Right? They're all heathens. They scalp you, they're barbarians. So when you mistreat them and take their land and move them off the lands or violate treaties with them, you don't have to feel guilty for being the devils that you are because, after all, these are heathens. They're savages, right? You can justify your hatred and your bigotry and your mistreatment of them because, after all, you promote your lies about them, right? Same thing in South Africa. Wherever this devil has gone upon the earth, right? He always justifies his abuse, his discrimination, his racism, his genocide by promoting false claims about whom they hate, thereby justifying the mistreatment, the abuse, the genocide, the hate, the intolerance. And therefore, this is a way, I guess, that he can mentally make himself feel okay. He doesn't have to deal with the guilt of the evil that he's perpetrating because, well, hey, there are no moderate heathens, right? There are no Jews that you can trust. There are no good, there are no good. Remember they used to have a saying like that. The only good N-word is a dead N-word. That's what they used to say, right? This is that same type of teaching. Thereby justifying, you know what? Don't trust any of them. You can't trust any Muslim because there is no such thing. There is no moderate Islam. There are no good N-words. There are no good Jews. There are no good, indigenous people. There are, throughout history, the devil continues to do it. The devils in human form continue to do this. I don't know why they don't learn their lesson. I don't know why they don't learn their lesson, but this is how they do. They continue to promote this kind of teaching, thereby justifying painting the group with a wide brush. And therefore, and that allows you to not see anybody from the group as human. See? And when you do that, that's the danger. That's why when that happens, that's how society, that's how you wonder, how could the German society sit by and allow these people to be put in camps and nobody not do anything, not anybody stop it? Yeah, sure, there were some people who tried to do, but see, the problem was that those people are in the minority. The ones who were willing to take the chance to help out Jews were in the minority. The ones who were willing to help Harriet Tubman during the Underground Railroad, these people were in the minority. The ones who were willing to march with Martin Luther King, they were in the minority. Right? They were in the minority. That's why the society was able to perpetrate the Jim Crow. This is why in Germany they were able to perpetrate the Holocaust. This is why in Australia they were able to commit genocide against the Aborigines people. This is why in South Africa apartheid was able to take place. This is why in Zimbabwe it was allowed to take place, because unfortunately the majority went along with it. And remember, what's that saying? That your silence is your consent. Even if these people felt that it was wrong, you sat by and you let it go on. That's your consent. So this is how these people are able to perpetrate apartheid, because the majority obviously are going along with it. If they weren't, you wouldn't be able to enforce the law of apartheid. If you weren't going along with Jim Crow, you wouldn't be able to enforce it. You see? So it's the minority of people who marched with Martin Luther King from the dominant society. It's the minority of those who helped slaves escape during the the slavery period in America. It's the minority of those. See? But the majority goes along with it. Again, that's how they're able to perpetrate the violation. Because the majority are along to go with it, or they keep silent and don't say anything about it. You see? So this is how they justify. So this is what this claim about that the moderate Islam doesn't exist is about. It's about demonizing all of us, so that we are all looked upon with mistrust, and none of us can be looked upon with humanity. None of us can be looked upon and say, you know what, let's give him a chance or her a chance. No, instead they'll look at every one of us with distrust and hatred towards all of us with claims like this. So that understand, that's what this is about. The claim that there is no moderate Islam is the same thing as there are no good Jews. Every N-word is a dirty N-word. The Native Americans are all heathens and savages. This is what this is about. Okay, it's just a repeat, but with a new target. That's all it is. Just a repeat of what his ancestors have done, just with a new target. Same mentality, but a new target. Understand that. All right, let's continue.
Or enroll in higher education unless their hubby says so. Can't do Pakistan.
Okay, also too with the education thing. That might be Saudi Arabia's issue, but other countries allow Muslim women to go to college, go to school. Iran allows them to go to school. Iraq had it even under Saddam Hussein. In fact, from what I had understood, I think under Saddam Hussein, they out of all the Middle Eastern countries, Iraq had the most degrees. They had the people with the most degrees, women, men, etc., had the most degrees. College educated, university degrees out of all the Middle Eastern countries. See, so again, that's not an Islamic thing, Mr. Crowder. Islam does not deny women their right to education. In fact, there are said to be teachings where Muhammad was said to say that if a man has daughters and he educates them and raises them up and educates them, that this man receives great reward for educating his daughter. So Islam does not condone or promote the idea of denying education to women. So once again, a false claim that is not Islamic. Once again, refuting the claim that moderate Islam does not exist. Okay, here he the honor killing.
Pakistan, where literally thousands of women are killed every year in legal honor killings. But
I'm not.
What can you expect?
And I'm not even sure if honor killing is legal in Pakistan. As far as I know, a lot of these things are done without the consent of the government. So I believe that may be a false claim. I'll have to verify that. But as far as I know, because I've seen documentaries about honor killings, and the countries themselves do not condone honor killings. These are things that are done, within the society, but the government itself does not have a law that says, honor killings is allowed for you to do that. And again, honor killings is not a part of Islam, Mr. Crowder. You keep bringing up things that are not Islamic teaching, sir. But you know what? That's typical. I expect that. So yes, so the honor killing thing is another false claim attributed to Islam. There's nothing in the Islamic sources that condones honor killings. Nowhere. The Quran doesn't have it. The history of Muhammad's life doesn't have it. Hadith doesn't have it. There's nothing in Islam that says that honor killings are legal, Mr. Crowder. Okay? They are not. There's nothing in Islam that allows you to take the life of your daughter or your child because they have allegedly dishonored the family or something. There's nothing in Islam that teaches that. This is something that is a unfortunate cultural phenomenon in certain Middle Eastern countries. Not even all Middle Eastern countries have this problem, but this is something that is in certain countries, but it has nothing to do with Islam. This is something that comes from their cultures that they may have had from centuries ago, but that predated Islam. But again, there's nothing in Islam that says to do honor killings. Nothing. So once again, a false claim that is not part of Islam, sir. And again, once again, if we look at the majority of the Muslims around the world, do not participate in honor killings either. In fact, even the majority of Muslims in the Middle East don't participate in this. This is something, as I said, that is relegated to certain individual countries in the Middle East. As far as I know, none of them condone it. None of them say that it's legal to do so. This is done. This is a type of vigilantism in these countries that these people do without the consent of the government. It is not a written law that says that people can do this. They do this regardless of what the law states. They do this on their own, and it is not a teaching from Islam. So I want us to be clear about that.
For a group who make up a majority of hell, according to Muhammad, sexism be upon him.
Okay, another false claim, sir. You know, they always want to use this hadith, but never tell you the whole thing. If he was to show you the full version of this hadith, it doesn't say that Muhammad looked into hell and he saw that the majority of his habits are women. Stop, pause, and that's the end of this thing. It explains that he had saw that a majority of women were in hell, not because they were women. It goes on to give the reason why, which said that these women had been ungrateful to their husbands, that their husband had done many good things for them, and he did one thing that they didn't like, and then they say that he had never done anything good for them out of the many things. It explains. So it does, you know, so sorry, sir, sexism nothing upon anybody. How about you try to read and do the full research instead of making false claims? Because that hadith in its full version does not say, oh, the majority of people in hell are women, and that's the end of it. No, it goes on and explains and gives the reason why that was the case. It had nothing to do just because they were women. So, again, another falsehood. Another falsehood.
Oh, what can we say, ladies? If you don't want to be a hell-bound second-class citizen, you shouldn't have been born a girl. But let's look back to the most...
You know what? I'm glad he mentioned that, because actually the Arabians, before the advent of the Prophet Muhammad and the revelation of the Quran, we know that in Arabian history, before Islam, before the Arabs had Islam, it actually was a stigma attached to having a female child. In fact, the Arabian history and the Quran actually talks about this. The Arabs used to, because of the stigma attached to having a female child, they used to sometimes bury their, or they would kill they would kill the female babies that if their wife gave birth to a female child, they would kill them sometimes, or they were known to bury them alive. They would bury them in the desert and just leave them. The Quran comes and the Quran condemns this action. The Quran says that there is no shame in having a female child. The Quran raises up the woman. It says that there is no shame. There's nothing wrong with having a female child. Whether you have a male or female child, both are a blessing. And the Quran, in fact, says that those who used to bury their daughters will be punished. That on the day of judgment, when they come before God, they will be asked why they committed this act. You see? So sorry, sir, but again, that's not what you just mentioned. That's not Islamic teaching. Islam does not place a stigma upon being a female or having a female child. The Arabs used to do that before Islam, and Islam condemned that, Mr. Crowder. So you see, people, I mean, if you're looking for something to justify your hatred and your bigotry, you can find it in people like this who speak from ignorance or misrepresent Islam. I don't, blatantly. Like I said, I don't even like to give these people the benefit of the doubt. I charge them with purposely misrepresenting Islam, because if he wanted to, he could actually do the research. He could do the research properly and see that the things that he's putting forward are actually not, as you just seen, many of the things that I just mentioned that we've just covered down the line, the several things that we just covered, are not from Islam at all, right? They're not from Islam at all. So I don't give these people the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, he doesn't know any better, he's ignorant. No, I say that these people are purposely misrepresenting Islam because the information is available. The correct information is available. So I don't think that he's ignorant or he's making a mistake. No, he's purposely misrepresenting the teachings of Islam. As you just heard him say, oh, because you were born a female, Islam doesn't have anything against you being born a female. As I said, again, Islam came to the Arabs and condemned them because they used to place a stigma upon having a female child. They used to kill their female babies when they were born because it was considered a shame to have a female child. There was a stigma attached to it. So Islam came, the Quran comes, and it condemns that action, and it says both, whether you have a male or a female, both of them are blessings. There's nothing wrong with being a woman. There's nothing wrong with having a female child. So you just don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Crowder. Let's continue.
Most moderate Islamic country, the UAE. Even there, along with legally killing converts and banning free speech, men can legally beat their wives. Step aside, Ray Rice. You've got entire nations in front of you. Gross human rights violations in virtually every Islam.
All right, let's address that. Again, Islam does not condone the beating of your wife, right? The Quran does not condone the beating of your wife. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, chapter 4, verse 34, right? Chapter 4, verse 34. Well, I've addressed this many times and shown that the Arabic word here, it has a number of meanings. It has a number of meanings. It can mean to beat, but it also but what's interesting though is throughout the Quran that word is used, and throughout the Quran that word is used as to go forward, away, or to go forward on a journey, right? Many of the times it's used to mean to go forward away on a journey. In fact, when I looked in the Arabic to English lexicon by Stanley, Mr. William, I believe is Mr. William. Stanley Williams or Stanley William Lay. I always forget the name of that person. But in the lexicon there, it shows how it has many meanings, and among the many meanings is to say that it's something that goes away from something, right? Something that goes away from something, or it says the man's wealth left him or went away from him, or two people have separated from each other. So it actually has that to it, and then you connect that where there is a saying that is supposed to be an alleged saying that comes from Muhammad, where he actually says, don't beat your wives. He actually says, don't do it. That would be more in line with what the Quran is saying, rather than to say that it's translated as beat. And there are some videos where people are explaining that, to show that, that meaning is an acceptable meaning. Because again, throughout the Quran, that word is used several times, maybe over a dozen times. And in all those other times it's used, it means to strike out on a journey, to strike out on a trip or something of this sort. See? So I'm sorry, Mr. Crowder, once again, if those countries allow you to legally beat your wives, that's because, again, that's something that they have allowed themselves. Once again, let us look at the majority of the Muslim world. The majority of the Muslim world are the majority of the Muslims in the Muslim world, husbands, are they beating their wives? When you ask them, do they see this as something that is legal and an injunction in Islam? See? So I mean, come on. And then again, and see, oh my goodness. And then it's always, well, again, not that that's a law in America, but here in the United States, the country that we live in, right, Mr. Crowder, there is a problem with domestic violence itself. Now, again, I'm not saying that it's, that it's legal here, but there's a problem here regardless of the laws. Well, it's the same thing in these countries. All right, let's continue.
Islamic country. Can you imagine if we tried to incorporate Islamic law here in America?
Keep your mouth shut if you know what's good for you.
In these countries, not only can men smack their broads around, but if you're a woman and happen to be raped, you can go to prison simply for coming forward.
Again, once again, another case. That's not Islam. In Islam, if you are raped, you can come forward, and there is no stigma attached to it. The matter is treated as a crime, and it will be dealt with based on, just like any other criminal case. An investigation is done, the criminals are found. If the criminals are found guilty, the criminals will be punished. Just because in some Arab countries they treat, rape victims like that has nothing, again, that's not from Islam. There's a story from the history of Muhammad's life in which a woman had been raped. And she goes and, informs whoever, the authorities or Muhammad or whatever, that she had been raped. And in the story, Muhammad doesn't place any stigma on her. In fact, he's ready for action upon the perpetrator, right? He's ready for action upon the perpetrator. So he orders his men to go find the man who raped this woman. So they find a man and they are ready to execute him, Mr. Crowder. They were ready to execute him. Fortunately for that man, the real story says that fortunately for the man who they picked up, the real rapist confesses. The real rapist confesses, say, no, it wasn't him. I'm the one who actually did it. And then the man is punished. So that's how rape is treated in Islam. The victim is not stigmatized. The victim is not punished. So once again, just because some ignorant Arabs in their country mistreat women who are raped and punish them or whatever, that's not what Islam says. Again, the history of Muhammad's life says that when a woman was raped in his time, he ordered the rapist to be found and was ready to execute the person. Right on the spot, just based upon the woman's testimony. The only thing that saved that man's life was that the real rapist was there and confessed and said, it wasn't him, it was me. Right? So that's how it's dealt with. The matter is investigated, the criminal is sought after and arrested or brought in, and will be dealt with based upon the investigation and the evidence. So again, as you can see, here we see he has presented several things that are actually not Islamic teachings, thereby refuting his claim that moderate Islam does not exist. Because as you see, several of the things that he has brought forward are not from Islam at all, Mr. Crowder. All right, let's continue.
Even an ultra super progressive Dubai.
No, you don't understand. That guy tried to rape me.
Well, maybe you were asking for...
So
let me stop right there. As you can see, the mocking, the disrespect, the stupidity, acting stupid, acting silly. Sometimes David Wood does videos like that too, where he likes to dress up like a woman, put on woman clothes and make stupid arguments. So you know what I'm saying? But this is how they do it. This is how they want to be. Instead of just coming and making a serious argument, they want to act like jackasses and act like fools and be silly and make mocking little skits and all of that. So can you really take the person seriously? And as you can see, several of the things that he's presented are not even accurate as far as being from Islam itself. Let's continue.
Whereas Islamic law exists even a little bit, we see horrible human rights violations that would have leftists fuming.
Well, the problem, Mr. Crowder, is that the laws, the things that you presented are not actually Islamic laws even a little bit. They're not Islamic laws at all, right? They're not Islamic laws at all, sir. So thereby your argument is a fallacious argument, because the things that you presented so far in this video, they're not Islamic laws at all. Thereby your whole argument falls to the ground.
If some Southern Baptists tried to enact them in America. So I ask you again, where is this so-called moderate Islam? Comment below. Why are pretty much all Islamic countries so evil in their treatment of non-Muslims and women, not to mention gay people? To answer those questions and more, I'd like to point you to some quotes from...
All right, well, let me stop there. Again, the hypocrisy of the white Western man. Your own countries have human rights violations. America has human rights violations. Go check with Amnesty International. Go check with Amnesty International. I know they don't, it's not talked about because, of course, America likes to present itself as the beacon of freedom and justice and democracy. But go check with Amnesty International. America has human rights violations, particularly against Black Americans, Mr. Crowder. So, you know, you sit your ass down when it comes to talking about how people are mistreated somewhere else, when right here in this country, Black, people are mistreated, regardless of religion or whatever, but based upon skin color, right? So spare us this talk as if you guys are perfect and innocent and you don't do any wrong. When you mistreat people right here in this country, when you have human rights violations right here, again, like I said, you don't want to believe me? Go check Amnesty International for America's human rights violations, and then you talk to me. You guys have a history of mistreating people. Look at South Africa. When whites went to South Africa, what'd you do? You set up your apartheid. You went to India, you set up your discrimination systems and mistreatment against them. You went to Australia, what did you do to the Aborigines people? You went to Algeria, you're in the Congo. No matter where you've gone, you have mistreated the other people that were in those places, and you got the nerve to be talking about how some other people are doing it. Now, this doesn't justify what those people are doing in those countries, but I mean, you're not in the position to be pointing the finger when you got your own human rights violations and mistreatments of other people right here in your own country and amongst those who stem from your ancestry and other places around the world. So spare us this talk like as if you guys are the beacon of righteousness and goodness upon this earth, when in fact you're not.
The original ISIS member, Muhammad himself.
Okay, again, the insult to try to claim that Muhammad was like ISIS, when there's numerous refutations to show that what ISIS does is, again, also not Islamic. In fact, there's a book. What's the name of that book? Let me see if I can show it to you guys real quick. There's a book by a Muslim scholar that came out not too long ago that shows that, let's see, what's the name of the book? ISIS, let's see if I can find it. ISIS is not Islamic. Many scholars, he's not the only one. Many scholars have shown that what ISIS is doing is not Islamic. Let's see here. Let's see why ISIS is. What's the name of that book? Man, what is that? Let me see. Let's see. Let's see. What is the name of that book? Let's see. Getting all these damn hater books, man. Let me see. What's the name of that book? I know, and he has some videos on YouTube also. Let's see. ISIS is not Islamic. Authors. Let's see. Let's see. What is the name of that book? All right, maybe if I put Islamic scholar, how about that? Let's see. Islamic scholar says ISIS is not Islamic. Let's see. Scholar says ISIS is not Islamic. I don't know if that's the one. Islamic scholar, ISIL enemies of Islam. There's an article from Al Jazeera that says that ISIL is the enemy of Islam. Let's see, what is the name of that book? Muslim scholars release open letter to Islamic State meticulously. What is the name of that book? Muslim leaders wage theological battle, stoking anger, stoking ISIS. There are articles too that show, from Muslim scholars condemning ISIS and refuting ISIS's claims. So the claim that, oh, the original ISIS member, Muhammad, come on now, come on, dude. But again, like I said, this information is available. All one has to do is do the research, and you'll find Muslim scholars presenting detailed Islamic arguments refuting the claims of ISIS. But no, is ISIS is Islam and all this nonsense that Muhammad was the original member. No, sir. The things that ISIS does, it can be point by point shown that Muhammad did not practice them nor condone such actions. Man, I can't find the name of that book. What is the name of that book? Let's see. Top Muslim scholar. Man, says ISIS is not Islamic. Let me see. How about this? Islamic scholar refutes ISIS. Let's see. Refutes ISIS. Let's see if that'll be in that book. All right, let's see. Yeah, it's prominent Islamic scholar refutes claims of ISIS. So again, there's articles. Even if you can't find the book, there are articles out there. Here's another one from Think Progress. Prominent Islamic scholar refutes claims of ISIS links to Islam. So again, the information is out there. There are plenty of Muslim scholars who refute ISIS's claims to be Islamic. So, Oh, is this him? I think this is it. Muslim scholars tell Islamic State you don't understand Islam. Nihad Awad. I think that's the author's name. Muslim scholars refute ISIS. Muslim scholar releases. Let me see if that's the guy's name. Let's see if this is it. Nihad Awada is his name. Let's see. Let's see if that's the one I'm talking about. Oh no, that's the guy from CARE. No, there's another. No, this guy's a scholar. Different. He's a scholar. What is the name of his name? And he has videos on YouTube. Matter of fact, let me check. Hold on a second. Let me check YouTube. Because I know he has video. He has videos on YouTube and he wrote a book. He has videos on YouTube and he wrote a book. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find it on YouTube. Let's see here. Islamic scholar refutes ISIS. Let's see. Now on YouTube there are videos that show it as well. There are videos of scholars actually talking about it, refuting ISIS. So again, while I'm looking up for this book, again, if you look on YouTube or Google it, Muslim scholars refute ISIS. Show ISIS is not Islamic. Show ISIS is not following teachings of Islam. Once again, that proves that what? That moderate Islam, so-called moderate Islam, according to what they believe is moderate, it does exist. It does exist. Moderate Islam does exist. Right? This proves it. Go look it up. Look on YouTube. Just put in Islamic scholar or scholars refute ISIS. There are plenty of videos that you can find of Muslim scholars refuting ISIS, speaking against ISIS. So what does that mean, Crowder? That means that what? Your claim that moderate Islam does not exist, that itself is a myth. In fact, there are moderate Muslims who speak against Islam, right? So your attempt to demonize all Muslims as not being moderate, or that moderate Islam doesn't exist, is a complete fallacy itself. I think this is it. Let me see. Oh, okay. Is that it? Yeah, here he is. I think this is it right here. Muhammad Abdul Huda al-Yaqubi. The name of the book is, I think that's it. Refuting ISIS. That's the name of the book. Okay, let me look that up real quick. Yeah, Refuting ISIS. Make sure this is the book, and then once I see it, I'm gonna post it. All right, let's see. Yeah, that's the name of the book. Refuting ISIS. Refuting ISIS. Yeah, I believe that. I think I got it. Yep, Refuting ISIS. Yep, there it is. Sheikh Muhammad. Yes, here we go. Here we go. We got it. We got it. A rebuttal of its religious, refuting ISIS, a rebuttal of its religious and ideological, let's see, let's go to I'm going to take you to the Amazon page. Yep, Refuting ISIS. There we go. Second edition. All right, so yes, so the name of the book is Refuting ISIS by Sheikh Muhammad al-Yaqubi. Okay, so your claim that the so-called moderate Islam doesn't exist it is itself a lie, Mr. Crowder. So here it is. Here's the first of the Refuting ISIS, a rebuttal of its religious and ideological foundations. Okay, this is the Arabic version of the book. You, of course, want the English version, don't you? Yes, of course you do. Refuting, I think they even have a website. So is this a website for the book? Let's see here. Yes, ebook, Refuting ISIS. Yes, here we go. Good. Okay. Well, he even has his own website. Let's help the brother promote his website and promote his book from his website. Even better. Even better. Yes. Here we go. So here I'm gonna put that up on the screen for you, so you can see that Stephen Crowder is full of it. He is full of it. You're going to see it on the screen in a second. There you go. Bam. Refuting ISIS. So who's this scholar, Mr. Crowder? If ISIS is following the so-called, the original ISIS leader, according to you, A'udhu Billahi min Allah, keep us from that, right? But if ISIS is supposedly following Muhammad's teaching, how is it that all these scholars can refute them, present arguments to refute them? How is it that this scholar has this book which refutes ISIS if they are supposedly following Muhammad, huh? You know why? You know what the answer is, sir? The answer is, of course, because they're not following Muhammad. The answer is because they're not following Muhammad, sir. So you can continue to make your little stupid skits, your little silly videos, right? Continue to act like an ass in your videos, thinking that you're funny. This dude act like he's still in high school. You know what I mean? He's acting like he's still in high school with these silly ass little, stupid videos with the little skits in it. But like I said, a brother recommended that I offer a refutation to the person. As you see, when I'm coming with the facts. I'm coming with that heat. I'm coming with that heat to set these liars straight. So here you go. Here it is. This is the brother's website. Instead of going to Amazon, I want to promote his direct, so you can get the book directly from him. Let him get all his money. Let the brother get all his money. So here's his website, Refuting ISIS. You can order his book right from his website. Okay, Sheikh Muhammad al-Yaqubi. Okay, the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq constitutes the most serious threat Islam has ever faced. The author, Sheikh Muhammad al-Yaqubi, a renowned scholar and one of the 500 most influential Muslims in the world today, presents in this invaluable book a thorough refutation of ISIS beliefs and crimes, providing authentic quotes that destroy the allegations of ISIS. I guess this would also destroy the allegations of people like Mr. Crowder, who claim that ISIS is following Islam and that ISIS is real Islam. Well, the scholar is demonstrating and providing the information that refutes those allegations and those claims, not only of ISIS itself, but people like you who claim that ISIS is actually following what Islam teaches, when that is not the case. So it says he provides authentic quotes that destroy the allegations of ISIS. Sheikh al-Yaqubi reaches the conclusion that this group does not represent Islam. Its declaration of a caliphate is invalid, and fighting it is an obligation upon Muslims. Okay, so there you have it. There you have it, Mr. Crowder. There you have it. Let's see his video. Oh yeah, there's going to be some more from the video, but let's see what else. What else he has there. Man, nobody's chatting this time, huh? Do we have any Muslims involved here? Usually the Muslims will be saying, they'll say Assalamu alaikum or whatever, but no problem. Not a problem. No comments? Nobody's making any comments? Okay, Moshe, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. That's cool. Everybody's listening today, huh? All right. Where were we? Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and listen to some more of the. Okay. So now at the end, he said, "Oh, right." He's saying these are supposedly from Muhammad, right? I guess these are supposed to be the things that Muhammad had said that supposedly are in line with ISIS. So here he gets chapter 4, verse 89. Says, they wish that you should disbelieve as they disbelieve, and then you would be equal. Therefore, take not to yourselves friends. Of course, we've dealt with this before in some of our earlier earlier videos, where here it is translated as not to take to these people as friends, when the word really is awliya. It means guardian. We talked about, matter of fact, I just talked about this maybe about 3 or 4 shows ago, where they translated the word awliya as friends, when awliya really means a guardian or protector. So actually how this should be read right here is, therefore take not to yourselves protectors or guardians of them until they immigrate in the way of God. And why? And again, see, this is what they like to do. They like to throw up a bunch of verses, right? But then they ignore what the verse is saying. The verse is telling you why. Does it say, oh, is it just because they're not Muslims? No, it says what? The reason is because what? They wish that you should disbelieve. That's the reason why. They wish that you should disbelieve. They're trying to take you away from your religion. So that's the reason. It's not just saying, oh, indiscriminately don't take them. No, the reason it's telling, it says it right there. They wish that you should disbelieve as they disbelieve. So it's giving you the reason. You know what I mean? These people are something else. Right? But again, it's translated as friends when the word again is awliya. Awliya is the plural of the word wali. A wali is a guardian, a protector, a manager of affairs. We talked about this maybe 3 or 4 shows ago. Right? 3 or 4 shows ago we talked about this. The word wali means a guardian, a protector, someone who manages your affairs. So it's saying, look, don't take these people as your manager of affairs, as your protectors, your God. Why? Why shouldn't you? Because they don't have your best interest at heart. They want you to disbelieve. You see? Until they emigrate in the way of God. Then if they turn their backs, take them and slay them wherever you find them. For take not to yourselves any one of them as helpers. Now here's another thing. Let's deal with that, because this is the same thing that we had when I was debating. I remember when I was debating Robert Spencer, how they like to cherry pick and leave out things out of their context. Right? Now watch this. Let's see. So yeah, so he quotes chapter 489, right? So what's the context of 489? 489, this verse right here is dealing with those who have, as I said, they're trying to take you away from Islam, and they are hostile towards you. They went away from Islam, right? And they want you to disbelieve as they disbelieve, and they are hostile. towards you. So that's why it's saying if they turn their backs, then take them and slay them, because they are trying to slay you. They're being hostile to you. What does the next verse say? This is why I charge these people with being dishonest and purposely lying and misrepresenting Islam. Because the very next verse says what? The very next verse says in verse 90. I'm talking about the first one he shows there, 489. Go to 490. What does 490 say? The next verse says, except an exception is given. See that? An exception is given. It says, except those who join a people between whom you and them there is an alliance, or who come to you, their hearts shrinking from fighting you or fighting their own people. In other words, the exception is that these people are not trying to fight you, right? They're not trying to fight you. See? So it says they don't want to fight you, or they don't want to fight, and they don't want to fight their own people. And it says, and if Allah had pleased, he would have given them power over you so that they would have fought you. So if they withdraw from you and fight you not and offer you peace, then Allah does not give you a way against them, Mr. Crowder. There's the moderate Islam right in front of your face. There's the moderate Islam right in front of your face. It's the next verse, Mr. Crowder. Why did you leave it out? Why did you leave out the next verse, Mr. Crowder? You post 489. Why didn't you post 489 and 490, Mr. Crowder? Well, you know why? We know why. Because the next verse refutes your lie. See? You want to quote 489 out of context. 489 and 90 are in the context together, showing that it is talking about two types of people. There are those who these people are hostile, right? 489 refers to those who are hostile. They left Islam, they're hostile, and they want you, what? They want you to disbelieve like them, and they're hostile. They want to fight you. They want to take you away from your religion or whatever, but they're hostile towards you. And the next verse says an exception. It says what? Except those who join a people between you and them there is an alliance, or who come to you, their hearts keeping them or shrinking from fighting you or fighting their own people. And it says, and if Allah had pleased, he would have given them power over you so that they would have fought you. So if they withdraw from you and do not fight you, Mr. Crowder, see what that says? It says, if they withdraw from you and do not want to fight you and offer you peace, then Allah does not give you a way against them. There you go. What's that sound like? That sounds like moderate Islam, Mr. Crowder. But according to you, moderate Islam is a myth. How'd you miss that verse, sir? How'd you miss that verse? It's right there. It's right next to verse 89. So you couldn't have missed it, right? You couldn't have missed it unless you purposely ignored it in order to misquote 489. Okay? So now the next verse he shows there is chapter 8, verse 12. I will cast terror into who's speaking there? You said Muhammad. See, again, these are all the common. I'm familiar with all of these lies. Let's go to 4:8. Let's go to 8:12. He says, Muhammad, that's not Muhammad speaking, sir. See, now this verse is always quoted. He didn't even quote it right. He tries to quote it. I will cast terror. Why don't, and see again, why didn't he quote the whole verse? He's not quoting the whole verse to you guys. I want everybody to understand. He is not quoting the whole verse to you. Chapter 8, verse 12 starts like this, actually. It actually says, when your Lord revealed to the angels. Matter of fact, you know what? I got to show it to you. I got to show it. Because I know you need to see it. You need to see it, right? You need to see this one. Because he's blatantly misrepresenting. He's blatantly misrepresenting right there. Blatantly misrepresenting right there. They always do this. So here they want to claim that they're quoting chapter 8, verse 12. But they're not quoting it. I'm gonna show you how dishonest he is. Watch this. I'm gonna show you. I want you to see the dishonesty with your eyes. I want you to see it. Let's go to chapter 8, verse 12 of the Quran. Now notice how he quoted it, right? He put I will as if that's Muhammad speaking, because according to him, this is Muhammad speaking, right? Okay, watch that. I'm about to expose the liar. If you weren't convinced that this guy is a liar and exposed already, now you're gonna see it. Now you're gonna see the liar exposed right here. Watch. Watch. You ready? Here we go. Now you're gonna see now you're gonna see it. that this guy's a blatant liar, bold-faced liar. Watch. Watch. I got you. I got you, Mr. Crowder. Yet again, I mean, I've already shown it. If you're not convinced, I mean, I've already shown it already. Several examples of how he is wrong. But, you know, maybe you're not convinced. Maybe you're not convinced. But I got you. I got you. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. Let's see it. Let's see it. Right, browser sources. I want you guys to see this verse with your own. Just so I just want you to see how the verse is being misquoted. How he's putting it, he's quoting it, and he got it in his video, but it's not. He didn't post the whole thing, because if he posts the whole thing again, his argument is destroyed. His argument is destroyed. Watch. Watch. Here it comes. Here it comes. Chapter 8, verse 12, right? You saw it on the video. He said he had it right there on the video, right? Chapter 8, verse 12. Get that out of the way. Interact with it. Can I get this to scroll down? I always have a problem with these things. Man. Let's see here. I want to get this thing to screen. I may have to use a different site, so at least it'll show the verse. Let me see if I can get another site that can show the verse right, because I can't get it to scroll down. Let's see here. Let's see. Chapter 8, verse 12. This one I have it right. Let me see it on the screen. Okay. I think this one might be. Let's see. I think this one can show. Hopefully. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if this one will do it better. All right. I don't know why I have a problem with these. All right, let's see if I can replace it then with. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay, let's see. Let's remove. Which one? I want to remove this one. Then. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so here we go. I want you to see chapter 8. What chapter 8, verse 12 actually looks like. Okay, I want you to see the full chapter 8, verse 12. Okay. Man, it's still blocked. Part of it is being blocked. Let me see. What do you guys see on your screen? Let me see what you guys can see. All right. Well, let me see. Well, how about I do this? Let's see. All right. Well, you guys can see, right? When I move the cursor over the words, the Arabic words, it shows you what it's actually saying, right? But even if you look towards the bottom, I think some of the words are viewable right there, even though that let's see, can I get that out the way? Let's see. Let's move that out the way. Get that thing out the way. All right, well, still, if you look towards the bottom of the screen, even though the player thing is in the way there, let's see, I can't close that, get that out of there. No, it won't let me get it. All right, like I said, you should be able to see some of the words. Now notice, see the beginning, it says, remember, when your Lord inspired to the angels. I always point this out when the haters give this verse, because as you can see, Muhammad is not speaking here. This is not Muhammad talking. It says God is speaking to the angels, right? Remember, or if you want to leave, since that's in brackets, when your Lord inspired to the angels. He's not talking to Muslims. He's talking to the angels. What's he telling the angels? He's telling the angels, I am with you, so strengthen those who have believed. Now the part that's missing is where, now that's the part where he quotes it. So you notice, so you can see he purposely left off the beginning of the verse. They always do this. In all of my years of being involved in debating and refuting their lies, this is one of the things that I have consistently seen them do. That whenever they quote this verse, they leave off the beginning of the verse. This is intentionally being done, everyone. So I want you to understand and see the tricks and lies of deception that these people use. They claim that the Muslims have the teaching of deception. No, it's them. And I want you can see with your own eyes right here. This is a perfect example. When I showed you on the screen what he posted, chapter 8, verse 12, his post starts at what? I will cast terror. Right? And he claims that this is Muhammad speaking, but he's not. Muhammad's not speaking. As you can see on the screen, towards the bottom, although the thing is in the way, you can still see the beginning of the verse. It says, when your Lord inspired to the angels. So that means this is God, Allah, speaking to the angels. Why did he say this is Muhammad talking? And why does he start with the part that says, I will cast terror, which is out of context? Right? Why is he posting it like that? Why did he leave off the beginning of the verse? See, that lets you see right there that this is giving you allowing you to see the intentional misrepresentation, the intentional deception that's being played on you that are bigots, so that way you can continue to justify your bigotry. You're being lied to. He left off the beginning of the verse, and he's not the only one who has done it. Like I said, ever since I've been doing this for over 10 years now, I have consistently seen these people quote chapter 8, verse 12, and consistently they leave off this beginning of the verse. Because as you can see, the beginning of the verse will dispel their claim. It is God, Allah, speaking to the angels. And he tells the angels, I am with you to strengthen those who have believed. And Allah said, then the part that's missing says, I will cast terror into the heart. Notice what it says though. First of all, even if you just go on what it says, I will cast terror into the hearts. So what they've done because of the hype of 9/11, they harp on the word terror. They harp on the word terror in English, right? They harp, but notice what it says. Is this saying that he's going to commit terrorism? No, it says, I will cast terror into the hearts. So what does that mean? Does that mean an act of physical violence? No, that means he's going to make them feel God speaking, not Muhammad. That means God is going to cast the fear in their hearts. This has nothing to do with physically doing violence to somebody. The verse is saying that God he's talking to the angels, and the angels are helping the believers. And in fact, the fuller context of this chapter 8 is talking about what was known as the Battle of Badr. This was a battle in which the Muslims were fighting in self-defense. They were being persecuted. So God is sending the angels to help them because they're fighting in self-defense. And so God is saying that he's sending the angels to help, and that God will cast terror into, or fear. It could be the word, you can either translate it as the word terror. Of course, terror is a strong fear, or you can translate it as a fear into the hearts. Either way you look at it, it says into the hearts. That means what? That means God can make these people who were attacking the Muslims, persecuting the Muslims, he can make them feel the emotion of fear. But they, like I said, because they see the word terror, and the word terror has been sensationalized after 9/11, they see the word terror, they ignore everything else. Meanwhile, it clearly says he will cast terror into the hearts. Into the hearts, meaning he will cast the feeling of fear into their hearts, making them feel the emotion of fear. So as you can see, he clearly misrepresents. So here, as I put the cursor over the Arabic words, it gives you the English, as you can see. So it says, look, it says when. Of course, the Arabic language, the words are not gonna go how they sound, or how in order as they are in English. But it says, when inspired your Lord to the angels. See that? To the who's he talking to? The angels. I am with you. So strengthen those who believed. I will cast in the hearts. See, there it is right there. What? In the hearts. I will cast in their hearts what? Those who disbelieved, the terror. In their hearts. Not you see what I'm saying? He says he's gonna keep, that means he's gonna make them feel the emotion of fear. So he said, oh, Muhammad is the one. No, Muhammad's not speaking here. This is God speaking. Who's he speaking to? The angels. So you've been exposed, Mr. Crowder. I mean, I've already exposed you several times before this one, but here's just one more exposing of the fact that you are misinforming. You're lying. Like I said, I'm not even going to be nice. I'm not even going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm saying you're lying. You're lying. This is not a mistake. You're not just unaware. You're not ignorant. No, you're lying. Because again, this is the verse. How could you miss it? How could you miss the beginning of the verse? So that means you purposely posted it as I will cast terror, and you left off the beginning of the verse, which shows that this is God speaking to the angels. And even if then, it still says he will cast terror or fear into the hearts, meaning they will feel the emotion of fear, not commit a terrorist act, sir. So, you know what I mean? So he's a liar. He's a liar. I mean, do we need to go further? Do we really need to go further? Right? Do we really need to go further? I mean, is the evidence not clear that this dude is a liar? Right? Is the evidence not sufficient to show you that the guy is a liar? You know what I mean? So there you have it there. But fine, we can go on some more. I have no problem. I have no problem with that. We can show some more. But I just wanted you guys to see the clear and blatant misrepresentation of the way he's presenting his argument. Okay. What's the next verse there that he gives right there? Let's see. All right, so let's go next one. All right, so now you got 839. Here's the word here. He says what? And fight them until there is no more fitna. Fitna really doesn't mean disbelief or disorder or whatever. Fitna actually means persecution. Fitna means persecution, and religion should be only for Allah. So again, he's leaving off fight them, and fight them until there is no more fitna. Well, he just puts the fit. What does that mean, fitna? The correct, even though they put disorder and disbelief, actually it means persecution. It means persecution. Fight them until there is no more persecution. The Muslims were being persecuted. This verse is again a verse of self-defense. So it's saying fight, it's actually saying to fight. The context is fight in self-defense. Remember, again, this is the same chapter as verse 12. See? As you can see, chapter 8:12, right under it, 8:39. It's the same chapter. This chapter deals with, again, the Battle of Badr. And this was a battle that the Muslims were fighting in self-defense. This was not an aggressive war. This was not an aggressive battle. The Muslims were fighting in self-defense. They were being persecuted. So here it's saying, and fight them until there is no more persecution. And religion should be only for Allah. Okay, so Mr. Crowder, again, a false misrepresentation. 9:30, and the Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah, and the Christians say the Messiah is the son of Allah. These are the words of their mouths. They imitate the saying of those who disbelieve before. May Allah may Allah destroy them. This is again obviously speaking of punishment from God directly. Nothing to do with the Muslims doing anything to you or committing an act of terror against you or whatever. Is speaking of God. Just like in your Bible. I don't know if Mr. Crowder is a Christian, but just like in the Bible, where Jesus speaks about the destruction that would come upon the Jews for rejecting him and killing the prophets. He speaks about the destruction that will come. Does that mean the destruction is coming from him? No, he's speaking about the destruction from God. The curses be upon them, he says in Matthew chapter 23. The blood be upon them. He's talking about the punishment from God. So same thing here. May Allah destroy them. It doesn't say let me destroy them. Let you Muslims destroy them. No, may Allah destroy them. The punishment comes from God. Here, chapter 33, 60 to 62. If the hypocrites and those in whose hearts is disease and the alarmists in the city do not cease. Again, to cease from what? Cease from what? Again, he's ignoring a lot, all throughout the Quran. The Quran is addressing the situations where the Muslims were under attack. The Muslims were the one being persecuted. So look how he posted without giving you context. If the hypocrites and those in whose hearts is disease and the alarmists in the city do not cease, verily we verily shall urge you on against them. Then they will be your neighbors in it but a little while. Accursed, they will be seized wherever found and slain with a fierce slaughter. Refers to according to him, it refers to Jews and Christians. No, sir, it says if the hypocrites. So that's not referring to the Jews and Christians. Let's check it. Let's check out the verse directly, because again, like I said, we've already seen that he's willing to misquote and misrepresent. So let's see. So this is about why does he put Jews and Christians here? This is about those who spread evil reports. Let's start at verse 59. I'm going to read it in context. The section is those who spread evil reports. It says, O prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to let down upon them their overgarments. This is more proper, so that they may be known and not given trouble. And Allah is ever forgiving, merciful. If the hypocrites, now here's the part where he quotes, if the hypocrites and those in whose hearts is a disease, and the agitators in Medina desist not, we shall certainly urge you on against them. Then they shall not be your neighbors in it but for a little while. Accursed wherever they are found, they will be seized and slain. That was the way of Allah concerning those who have gone before, and you will find no change in the way of Allah. Where does this doesn't say anything that this is speaking about Jews and Christians. See how they like to add that in there? This is not referring to Jews and Christians. Mr. Crowder. So I don't even know where you putting that this is referring to Jews and Christians. All right. But they always like to claim that a verse is about Jews and Christians to try to, alarm, make you feel, oh, look, see, the Quran is talking about killing Jews and Christians. The verse ain't even referring to Jews and Christians as you claim. Oh, boy. All right, next he goes into some books, some references that are outside of the Quran. Hey, let's deal with that. Okay. This is a book, Bukhari. He says, Allah's apostle said the hour will not come. The hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews. Again, this is misrepresented. I have a book here before me. The same thing with this one. They always quote this alleged claim, this narration, but they don't tell you the full version of it. Again, quoting it out of context, making it seem like Muhammad was speaking about all Jews. However, I'm going to show you the book. I want you to see the book. All right, I have the book right here before me. Signs before the day of judgment. It looks like it may be backwards because I guess, but yeah, Signs before the day of judgment by Ibn Kathir. Right? He gives the full version of that narration. What does it say? All right. This is another one that's commonly misquoted, misrepresented. Let's see. Just give me a moment while I find it. Let's see. Where is it? Let's see, is this the one? Let's see. Yes, here we go, right here. Okay, on page 58 of the book, right? On page 58 of the book, the extended version of that narration, which he posts and makes it sound like Muhammad is talking about all Jews. Here's the full explanation here. This is on page 58. It is said that what Sharik bin Abul Akr said, the messenger of Allah said, the messenger of Allah, where will the Arabs be at that time? He said, at that time there will be few. Most of them will be in Jerusalem, and their imam will be a righteous man. While their imam is going forward to lead the people in praying, Jesus, the son of Mary, will descend. The imam will step back to let Jesus lead the people in prayer, but Jesus will place his hands between the man's shoulders and say, go forward and lead the prayer, for the call to prayer was made for you. So the imam will lead the people in prayer, and afterwards Jesus will say, open the gate. The gate will be opened, and behind it will be the Dajjal, or Antichrist, as some people translate, and 1,000 Jews. Not all Jews, only 1,000 Jews who are supposed to be with the army of the Antichrist. Right? Each of them bearing a sword and shield. When the Dajjal or Antichrist sees Jesus, he will begin to dissolve like salt in water and will run away. Jesus will say, you will remain alive until I strike you with your sword. He will catch up with him at the eastern gate of Lud and will kill him. The Jews, obviously the Jews that were with him, a thousand, not all the Jews, the 1,000, the Jews will be deflated with the help of Allah. There will be no help or place for them to hide. They will not be able to hide behind any stone. So that's the part where he quotes that, says, oh, they will not be able to hide a stone except the stone or the tree will say to kill them. So notice the full context is talking about the future event where Jesus is supposed to return, and with us and with the Antichrist, the Dajjal, he will have 1,000. Now we are told right now that there are maybe 17 million Jews, 17 to 19, I don't know, 20 million Jews worldwide. Here it says that there will be 1,000 Jews. That's not even what, that's way less than 1% of the total Jewish population. That 1,000 Jews will be in the army of the Antichrist. And it is those who are with the army of the Antichrist to whom it says that the tree, because they're in a battle, they're fighting against the Muslims and against Jesus and the Muslims with the Antichrist. And it is those who it will be said of them. So and again, this is something that I've seen over the years where, again, they always misquote this one as well. Okay, so there it is on page 58 right there. All right, right there. All right, so let's see, let's continue on. Let's see, the next one he says is that The prophet was asked whether it was permissible to attack the pagan warriors at night with the probability of exposing their children. Well, you know, now there is another narration that goes against this one. Now, I believe it was said that this one may have been said at an earlier time or whatever. But there's another narration where he actually says point blank, when you're in battle, do not kill women and children and the elderly and such. Matter of fact, I believe I have that quoted in this notebook here. Let's see. Let's see here. So I'll give you the reference for that one. Let's see here. I'm just trying to refute everything he brings, whether he brings it from the Quran, whether he brings it from some other sources. If I have the information to refute it, I'm going to refute it regardless. All right. I don't know. I can't find it right now. I know I had some notes on it. But there is a narration where Muhammad is supposed to say, is alleged to have said point blank, when in battle, do not kill women and children and elderly. And so I guess in trying to reconcile the two here, it was said that this one that's on the screen was said, may have been said at an earlier time. But then Muhammad, after a battle, he does see women and children who have been killed in the midst of a battle. And then he makes it clear to say, do not kill women and children and elderly. So now he makes a point blank statement that no, when in battle, don't kill, don't harm the women and the children and the elderly. Let's see. I can't find it right now. I don't want to take too much more time. But there is a narration that says that. I can't find it right now. I know I had it in my notes somewhere. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't find it right now. Ooh. I don't know. I can't find it right now. Let me see. Wait. I can't find it right now. But let's see. But I'm sure if you Google it, you just put in, if you go to Google and put in, Muhammad said, "Do not kill women and children," it'll come up. It'll come up. So there he goes again, misrepresenting. Again, like I said, the researches can be found. It's easy to find it. It's easy to find it. It can be found very, very simply. Okay, very simply could be found. All right, let's continue. Then he gives it the verse, you true Muslims are the best of peoples ever raised up for mankind, means the best of peoples for the people as you bring them with chains. Now, an interesting thing about this statement here is that I took some notes on that when I was preparing for this discussion. Oh yeah, is that one right there, Muhammad, again, remember he's always claiming Muhammad didn't say that one. That last one right there from Bukhari 6080, that was narrated by one of who was said to be one of Muhammad's contemporaries, one of his followers, named Abu Huraira. But it doesn't say that Muhammad said it, right? It doesn't say that Muhammad. That's Abu Huraira saying that. It doesn't say that Muhammad said that. So this claim right, that last one right there, is not said to be a statement of Muhammad himself. That's what the verse means. In fact, what's interesting, what's funny about this is that that's supposed to be a reference to a verse from the Quran, right? When you go to that verse from the Quran, the verse from the Quran tells you, it doesn't say anything about because you bring people in chains or anything like that. Matter of fact, let me see if I get what was that verse? Let's see. Hold on a second. Let me get you the verse so we can see again what it actually says, and shows that these people, they don't do excuse me, they don't do any research. Let's see. You are the best. Let's see. I believe it's chapter 3, verse 110. Let's see it. Make sure that's the right verse. Chapter 3, verse 110. Chapter 3, verse 110. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, okay, yeah, here we go, right here. Here it is. Chapter 3, verse 110. Once again, now the verse itself gives you the explanation. What he posts there is supposed to be an explanation given by Abu Huraira. Again, not Muhammad. This is one of Muhammad's companions, one of Muhammad's followers, saying that this is what the verse means. But the interesting thing about it is that the verse itself tells you what it means. The verse itself says, you are the best nation or people for mankind. And it tells you why. You enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong and believe in Allah. If only the people of the scripture had believed, it would have been better for them. Among them are believers, but most of them are defiantly disobedient. So the verse itself tells you why they're the best. It doesn't say you're the best because you're bringing people in chains. It says you're the best because you enjoin what is good and you forbid what is evil or wrong. That's why you're the best, not because you're bringing people in chains until they embrace Islam. Number one, Islam, the Quran is clear that you can't force people to accept Islam. Forcing people to accept Islam is unacceptable. That is in the Quran chapter 2, verse 255, right? That there's no compulsion in religion. You can't compel people to accept Islam. You can't force people to accept Islam. There are a number of verses throughout the Quran that talk about how that, you know, your job is only to deliver the message. And if they turn away, that you're not their guardian, you're not their keeper. Your job is only to deliver the message. So it makes it clear that you can't force people to accept Islam. Okay, you can't force people to it. That's throughout the Quran, saying you cannot force people to accept Islam. Your job is to deliver the message, and if they reject it, then your job is only to deliver it. You're not their guardian, you're not their keeper. So therefore, in other words, that's it. You give them the message. If they reject it, then that's it. You did your part. You're not their keeper. You're not their guardian. You can't make them accept Islam. All right. So again, that last one that he has on the screen, that is supposed to be an interpretation given by Abu Huraira, not by the Prophet Muhammad himself. And again, we don't even need the interpretation because the verse itself is self-explanatory. The verse itself tells you why it is said that you are the best people raised up, and the reason that is given is not what's given there, because you bring people in chains. The reason given, it says right from the Quran, the reason why you're the best people raised up is because you enjoin what is right and you forbid what is wrong. That's the reason. That's the reason why. Okay, that's the reason why. So I really don't have to go any further because the Quran already makes it clear. Even though they do give, if you read even in the explanation of that narration, they give an explanation, right? They give it, but I don't think I have to go any. I don't really have to go to that route because the Quran's explanation is sufficient. The Quran itself tells you why you're the best raised up, and the reason is what Allah says. Because not because you're bringing people in chains till they embrace Islam, it's because you forbid what is wrong and you enjoin what is right. That's the reason. So I'm not even going any further. The Quran already speaks for itself. The Quran already speaks for itself, Mr. Crowder. It tells you the reason why right there. So I don't really have to go any further. So as you can see, even in what he presents in that last part, claiming that, oh, well, let's go look at that the you know, of course, trying to insult Muhammad as being the original ISIS member, which again, we already showed you the book by the scholar Sheikh al-Yaqubi, which presents a detailed refutation of ISIS and how what ISIS is doing and claiming is not representative of Islam or the Prophet Muhammad or what the Quran teaches or whatever, right? And then Mr. Crowder says that, you know, let's look at Muhammad says, and then you see from what I showed from the verses that I showed are they're in self-defense. It's God speaking to angels. You know what I'm saying? He misrepresents. He doesn't quote the whole thing in its full context. You know what I mean? So as you can see throughout his whole video, I've shown you several, you know, several examples of him misrepresenting, him being wrong, him giving things that are not from Islam, women not being able to drive, honor killings, female genital mutilation, you know, we've shown that these are either he's giving us things that are not from Islam, but something that the Arabs may do ignorantly in their countries in the Middle East, but are not cannot have do not have a source from the Islamic sources for them. Then we showed how he misrepresented Quranic verses and made claims that are not from Islam. You see what I'm saying? So the whole video he made has been destroyed. His whole claim has been destroyed. We showed you that, again, quote unquote, moderate Islam does exist, and that his claim that it does not exist is itself a myth. It is his claim that moderate Islam doesn't exist. That's what the myth is. The evidence is ample that we have, quote unquote, I'm saying quote unquote moderate. Whatever they think a moderate is, well, if you believe that a moderate is a person who wants peace and is not trying to kill you because you're a non-believer, well, the Islamic teachings already provide that. I read the verses. You misquoted them. You left off part of verses that would detail that it's speaking about self-defense, or that it was God speaking to the angels. Right? We've demonstrated that. So his whole video has been destroyed. Right? His whole video has been destroyed. His whole claim has been destroyed. And there we have it. Right? And I believe that's the end of it right there. Yeah, that's the end. Okay, now he's being stupid. So there you go. No need to go any further. The rest of it is just his little silly, you know, his little silly mocking or whatever. So there you have it. So a thorough refutation of Stephen Crowder's claim that basically moderate so-called quote unquote moderate Islam does not exist. I believe we presented a thorough refutation of his claim. His argument has been completely decimated. And I showed you so you could see with your own eyes how verses were misquoted, how he intentionally left off the beginning of a verse or the part of a verse or the verse that came after it, that clearly demonstrates that the claim that he's trying to make is not supported by the verse in its context, or because he left off a part of the verse. So what does that show you? That shows you that he was intentionally trying to misinform you. So you shouldn't trust him. You shouldn't trust him at all. Okay? You shouldn't trust him at all. So before I sign off, let's see, are there any comments? No comments. Well, that's interesting. Nobody has made any comments this show. Do I need to refresh maybe, or I don't know. Or everybody just listening, which is fine, not a problem. Yeah, I guess nobody sent any messages. That's cool. No problem. Not at all. No problem at all. All right. So, well, then with that, once again, before we end the show, remember this show has been brought to you by my book, which you can purchase on Amazon.com, Amazon Kindle. The book is entitled He Never Was God, How Scripture Shows That Jesus Was Fully a Man and Not God. Available on Amazon.com in paperback and on ebook form on Amazon Kindle. You can also get our DVD entitled Taqiyya, The Lie They Made Against Islam, which is a thorough and detailed refutation of the claim that the haters make that Taqiyya is supposedly a teaching that Muslims have that allows us to supposedly lie and deceive non-Muslims in order for us to try to promote Islam. And that is a lie. That DVD provides a thorough, detailed refutation of that claim. You could also support us by donating to the links in the description of the video below. You can donate through our website, thecaseforislam.webs.com. It's in the link. It's in the description. I keep saying it's in the description of the video below in the link. The link is there. You could also donate directly through the PayPal feature that they have now, where you can send somebody some money or donation or whatever. Right? The link is also provided in the description below. So you have those options. You can also just do a super chat as well if you don't have the access to those other means. By all means, then just make a super chat donation. That's fine. Again, just remember that super chat donations do not come directly to the YouTuber to whom you donate. It can take a month. It can take longer depending on how many donations, until the donations reach a level of $100. That's when they send it out. So it could take several months before that happens. You know, it all depends. And also, the YouTuber does not get the full amount. So if you want to make sure that your donation, that I get the full donation that you send and I get it right away, please use the links in the description of this video below. Okay, so no one has any comments. So with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. Again, this has been a thorough and detailed refutation of Steven Crowder's video, Moderate Islam, a Myth. We have proven that it is what is the myth is that Steven Crowder's claim that moderate Islam does not exist. That is indeed the myth. All right, and with that, you have a good night or a good morning, no matter where you are. And remember, just remember, you can always, if you don't donate now, you could always come to this video or any of my other previous videos, and you can donate anytime. Okay, it doesn't have to be during the show. So if you don't have the means to donate at the moment and you want to donate at a later time, you can do that at any time. Those links will always be there. So let me just say, if you do donate tonight or any other night, I want to thank you for your donations. I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in to watch us and listen to us and hear us. And just thank you for whatever you've done, whether you're just supporting us by listening and watching, promoting the videos, making a donation. I want to thank you and express my gratitude to you, and also, of course, to give praise to Allah for you being, for you being willing to donate and support. All right. So with that, I sign off. You guys have a good night. Assalamu alaikum.